Hello, everyone. I hope you're having a great time. And let's get into talking about layers. Layers are one of the most fundamental parts of Photoshop. And if you want to become any good at Photoshop, you need to get familiar and comfortable with using layers. There's a lot of layers to using layers, but we'll be just introducing you to kind of how they work and function. And we'll be getting into some of the details of them next week. How I want you to start in this assignment is I want you to download the three images in the download this lecture's images place, which is Art Rose's Flowers. And then there's a Flowers Fill PNG and also Blue Concrete by Ksenia Lapteva. Again, sorry if I mispronounced that. And these are going to be three parts of kind of uh, our layers assignment. And so once you've downloaded these images, I want you not to, unlike the previous ones, I don't want you to open any of these directly up in Photoshop just yet. I want you to instead create a new file, and I want you to create it to be 6 inches wide and 4 inches tall. And if your Photoshop is set to pixels, all you have to do is select the drop down in this. I will show it on video. You had to select the drop down and select your basically your sizing format, and you can change from pixels to inches or any variety of different sizes, but pixels or inches are usually my most common ones. And then you also want this to be 300 pixels per inch resolution. And now you might have noticed that in a previous assignment I said 72 pixels per inch, while this one is 300 pixels per inch. And there's a reason for that. And that's mostly because 72 pixels per inch, we'll be going into more detail in this in the future, but 72 pixels per inch is the common size for images that are uploaded onto the web. And this is a little bit old now, because now that we have Retina screens and more high definition screens, this isn't always correct anymore. But by default, still a majority of screens still obey the 72 pixels per inch rule. 300 pixels per inch is for printing. And so if you're a photographer and you're printing out your photos professionally, you'll want them to be 300 pixels per inch. Or if you're an illustrator and you're printing out something for a show in an art show, you'll want to be printing it at 300 pixels per inch. And so again, we'll go into more detail with that in the future, but that's why there's that difference here. So now that you have this file open that is 6 inches wide and 4 inches tall, I want you to place Art Rose Flowers into your file. And one technique is to use File in the menu bar and then say Place Embedded, and then you select artroseflowers.png from Downloads or wherever you saved it at. The other one that I'll be using here is in Finder or File Browser, you can then just click and drag Art Rose Flowers into your workspace in Photoshop. And then you have to press Return or Enter to confirm the placement of it in your base file. And so now I want you to look at your layers palette, which is down in the bottom right-hand corner of the Photoshop frame. Notice how there are now two layers there. There's one labeled background and the other labeled Art Rose Flowers, or whatever you've named it when you saved the image. And this is the basis of using layers. So now we're going to import Ksenia Lapteva's Blue Concrete into the file. You can either use the opposite technique, or you can just do it again, whichever you're familiar, whatever you're comfortable with, really. And so now you have 3 layers. However, we don't want Blue Concrete to be above the flowers image. And so if you click on the Blue Concrete layer in the layers palette, and then while holding the click, you can drag it up and down in the layers palette. And as you move it, notice that there's a blue line that appears above or below other layers. This is telling you where the layer you're dragging will be placed when you release your hold. So I want you to drag the Blue Concrete layer below the flowers layer. And you'll know you've done this correctly when you can see the flowers layer above the Blue Concrete layer. And because the flowers layer is a liner on a transparent layer, you can see the Blue Concrete layer behind it. If you have a layer that isn't transparent, you won't be able to see what's underneath it unless you use adjustment layers or a mask or some sort of thing. So next, we want to now place Flowers Fill into your file. So just import that like you imported the previous ones. And then depending on which layer you have selected, which is highlighted in the lighter gray, the Flowers Fill will place above the selected layer. So if you want this to be easy, just select the Blue Concrete layer and then drag in your flowers fill picture. But if you don't do this or you have another one, you can just do the same click and drag in the layers palette to reorganize it so that we have a layer that starts with the flowers and then has flowers fill and then blue concrete and then background. Uh, and then you want to then, use the move tool that we reintroduced you in one the previous message. Use the move tool that we introduced you to in some of the previous messages to move some of these layers around until they're organized as you desire. Maybe you want the flowers fill to be a little offset for kind of like an artistic look, or maybe you want to try to get it like perfectly within the lines. Whatever you want, just try to move it around so you get familiar with kind of messing around with layers and moving around these layers. And then once you're happy with it, I want you to then save your image as first name, last name, flower layers.psd. And so like I would save it as Susie Crane flower layers.psd. And then I want you to upload it into your assignments folder in your AVC 177 folder in Google Drive. And then once you've done that, select the link to either the direct PSD or to the folder itself and put it into the submission box in Canvas and submit it. And with that, you will have submitted this assignment. Don't worry, we'll be doing more with layers in the future. But definitely, if you feel like experimenting for it, I definitely really encourage you to experiment with layers because they will be very much a cornerstone of what we do in Photoshop. As usual, if you have any questions or comments, please feel free to reach out in Canvas, and I'll do my best to guide you. Other than that, I hope you all have a fantastic week, and I will talk to you next time. Take care.